Okay, we're back with more lessons in the tutorial series. It's been a while, as you can probably see, the date's down bottom right. I keep having to re-record some lessons because the quality doesn't come out quite as well as I like it, and I botched some things in the process. Forget to mention something, so sometimes I got to redo a lesson. Apologize for that. Okay, so I've made substantial progress on the tutorial map. As you can see, I've pretty much done everything that we've learned thus far. I've just added that to the map. Okay, so a lot of fencing, a lot of these straight fences here I just did by hand with the Control D tool, the duplicate tool. Excuse me. Instead of using the script, if I was doing a bunch of hills and everything, then I'd definitely use the script. But since these are all squares, it's a lot faster to do it without the script. So I have done substantial work to the map to the point where I can start considering, okay, what are my farmlands? How am I going to separate these farmlands? And how do I start bringing life to the map? In the sense that how do I load in the map with the fields having been planted by the computer player, the unowned fields? How do I get those to be planted? Well, that's all through farmlands and field dimensions. Okay, so we're gonna focus on farmlands in this episode, and then we are going to do field dimensions in the next because they're kind of tied together. So if you have all the property owned, which I believe, let's click on the info layer tool here. Let's go down here, not tip call. We want farmland. Yeah, it should be all weighted out. If it's not for you, it doesn't really matter, but this is all one single farmland for me. This is farmland ID 1, so you own that by default in the game. If it's like that, then, and you have field dimensions, none of the fields are going to be planted with different crops. It's all going to be empty. It's all going to be cultivated because you own it, right? But if you want it so that all of the the fields are planted differently and they're unowned and everything, you got to do farmlands. What's gonna be what brings life to your map. Okay, so we'll do it rather simply. We just went into the info layer, the little blue tool here. You guys have mastered info layers by now. I'm going to increase our radius here to like 2000 and just erase this here. Okay. I'm probably going to want to use squares here. Switch my tool to squares and bring the size down a little bit. Okay, so we're in the info layer for farmlands. And we are going to, this is the very simple way, but also it's the long way. We're going to punch in the code down here. You can't use this tool. It does not change the code for you. I know that it says that it changes the code for you, but say it doesn't. These should be two different colors. It's a liar. It's just basically telling you this. All this is doing is telling you this is what the code is for that layer, right? Which is super annoying. I wish they would fix that. I think that's the dumbest thing about this part of the info layers. It's like you should just be able to toggle which layer you want, and it'll just punch the code in for you, and you can just do that from here. So this panel right here is just useless, and I hope they change it for the next iteration of Giants Editor. But regardless, I have the code here for you. This is somebody provided this on the internet. They just recorded all the values and everything really nice on a forum. I just am bringing it to you in a document, so you can just follow along with this code. That's fine. The 63 farmlands are coded in here. That is what it is. I mean, we're gonna do it the really the easier way in GIMP. But all right, so like farmland 1, that's 0. Farmland 2 is 1. So all right, we're on 1 right now. So I'm just gonna. This is 1. All right, and then see how it changes color. Okay, now this is farmland 2. Farmland. Oh, nope, can't do that. I have to actually punch in the digits here. There we go. 3. All right, now let's say I want to, instead of having to punch in the code down here, the bits, I want to change to a different farmland color. So I'm just going to do Control R hovering over any of these farms. So I want to do 1. Look at that. Now I'm painting on that farmland. Okay. All right. Control R, painting 2. Right. So, and so on and so forth. Super easy stuff. The whole entire map needs to be painted with farmland layers. Okay, so there might be unowned land in your map that you just want to make that like free land. Then you still need to paint it. Otherwise, it's going to throw you this pixel error. It's super annoying. I think it's another one of the dumb things about Giants Editor. I don't know if you submit to console if they're going to dock you for that error, but yeah, super annoying. And another thing you should note is like when you paint. And you do control Z for undo. A lot of the times when you do that, it'll remove pixels from other layers. It is so buggy. You do control undo, like I say, you accidentally paint over an area and you do control undo. What it'll do is it'll like sometimes, not all the times, this is kind of rare, but like it'll remove pixels from like another farmland, which is really dumb. I wholeheartedly hate the farmland system, but you know what? It's better to have it as an info layer than what they do with field dimensions, which is even worse. Okay, so that's the gist of farmlands. I mean, that's really easy, but let's take it another step further. Why don't we, instead of having to paint all of the fields and paint our farmlands, we just want to let's say we just want to hand paint the actual physical farms, and then we want all the fields individually purchasable. Okay, we can kind of fast track this process by doing things through GIMP. Okay, so remember we did info layers. We briefly discussed info layers through GIMP. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so we're going to first briefly start out with kind of counting up what we think are going to be each of our individual farms and what's going to be the free land. So physical farms, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I know I got some feedlots that I haven't put in, maybe 8, 9. Let's say 10. I'm just going to say there are 10 farms that I'm going to have in this map. Okay, so I'm basically going to start at 11 for the fields when we get into GIMP. So I'm going to show you that right now. Just keep that in mind. I had 10 farms. I'm going to hand paint. All right, and you can absolutely paint these in GIMP, but this is just way easier. Okay, so just hear me out. All right, I'm going to quick save this. Make sure I got my fields all in the cultivator density. Okay. Let me show you while that's saving what's going on in here. This is where our layers are. Let's do medium icons. You remember fruit density and cultivator density. Well, the info layers are through here. We've already done this. So you should be well aware of this. But we're going to take the cultivator density. We're going to put it into GIMP. And then we're going to bring it back and save it as this farmland, map.de farmland GRLE file. And we'll have most of the map colored in. Okay. So it should be saved. I'm going to exit. No, I modified code, but I'm not going to save it. Okay. I'm going to take our cultivator density. Now the farmland here, let's do this quick. Actually, let's take the farmland. We can do this, copy that, go into GRLE converter, delete this out of the way, put that into GRLE converter, and we can see that as a PNG, or the size of this file is going to be 1024 by 1024. You can have larger info layer images than that. You can have one the same size as your cultivator density. It's just when it's going to cause a little bit of lag. I found for 4x's using the same pixel size as a cultivator density, 8192 by 8192. Actually, might be more than that for 4x. I don't remember. I'm having a brain fart. It tends to lag when you click on the farmland in the map, when in game, when you're clicking on the farmland to buy, it lags a little bit. Like you'll click on it, it doesn't immediately highlight. So, you can do 1024 by 1024. You can scale your cultivator density down to 1024 by 1024. I'm not going to do that because for 1x's, it actually works. It doesn't lag as much. So I'm going to take my cultivator density, bring that into the converter. You can see it's 4096 by 4096. I'm going to open with GIMP. Okay, this is going to take a little bit because I didn't have GIMP open. Okay, so what we're going to do is what we did with the other info layers, other cultivator density GDMs. We're going to save this as a PNG, change the line in the map and say, hey, we're going to read a PNG instead of a GRLE. Cool. Open up the map. It'll be like, okay, all right, we're going to convert this to GRLE for you once you save it. Boom, bada bee. All done. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this the same size. We're not going to scale it at all. So no posturizing needed. I'm going to do a value invert. So that's going to show us all the fields that we need to paint. Okay. So I'm just going to start off with, so just like our code here, all we need to do for RGB, the red colors, is go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, see how easy that is? But since we're hand painting some of these, I decided that I'm going to hand paint some of the farms. I'm going to start at 11. Okay, so 11 through whatever number we end up with, that's going to be done through GIMP, and 1 through 10 I'm saving kind of for. This is just you can do all of these in GIMP if you want, and then start at 64 or whatever number you end up with, and paint with that. It's super, this is just how I like to do it. I'm going to show you really quick what happens, what that code basically means. Let's go into the map, and then where is farmlands? There it is. I clicked on it. I'm a dummy. Let's open that in Notepad++, the farmlands XML. Okay, see how this is 1 through 45. I forget which map this was for. I'm using it as a base map, but we can certainly add more of these lines up to 63. You can see the price scale in here. You can see the NPC names, and the default farm property right here. So this one, right now, farmland ID 1. So that first info layer that we painted with earlier, that's going to be the default farm property. If you decide you're not going to start at 1 and you're going to start painting your farms, physical farms, at like 46, all right, then you're going to just make 46 your default farm property or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Make sure your number channels are the same. And here you can change your price per hectare. That's kind of, you can do your own research to change that for whatever area you're building the map based off of. And then obviously the file path up here, showing where that info layer that we're going to create is. Super simple stuff, right? Nothing too difficult. I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to get to, I'm going to do a couple. I'm not going to do all of these, but let's switch to 0 to 255 HSV. And I said I'd start with 11. Okay, and then we'll use the bucket tool. Fill similar colors, that's fine. And then we'll just, go down the line here. 12, 13, 14, 15, 15. And then I'm going to do like, let's how about I just do the rest as 1. Okay, you get the gist of this, right? You're just going to keep going and going until whatever number. I think on Lincoln Creek I had like 90 farmlands or something like that, something stupid, to make each of the fields individually purchasable. So I'm just going to do 1 for the rest of these. I'm not going to do color exchange because sometimes when you do color exchange it doesn't quite work. So I'm going to grit my teeth and work my way through all of these individual pieces here. Hopefully it does it really quick for me. Go on. Okay. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Boring stuff. Okay. Almost there. I don't know why. I think I need to like clear some sort of memory issue in GIMP, because these used to take it used to fill really quickly. Now it doesn't seem to fill very quickly at all. So I think I need to update GIMP, reinstall GIMP. I'm afraid of losing my settings if I reinstall GIMP. So I love these settings. All right, so that's all farmland 1, and then we got a couple that are like 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 here. That's fine. Let's say I want to make the free property 2. So remember when we were looking at prices, and I shouldn't have exited out of this. I always do this. So let's say we just want the price scale to be 0 for 2, because this is all the roads, the the buy point, you want to make all that purchasable because, like, let's say in seasons it snows, you need to own the property in order to move the snow. So you know, you want to clear the roads, you need to make all the roads purchasable, right? And plus, that'll cover all the unpainted area. Okay, so 2 bucket fill. Ta-da. Okay. And I'm just doing this. You don't have to do this way in terms of numbers. I'm just showing you this as an example. Okay, so let's go to colors, components, decompose. So we're decomposing this to grayscale. We don't want it to decompose the layers, okay? We want these separated into separate images, okay? So this is the one we want right here. You can kind of see, actually, as you go up in the numbers, it tends to, you'll see more and more of the fields. You know, the lower numbers are obviously going to be a lot darker. So, you know, 2 and 1 or the rest of the field, farmlands here are going to be really dark. But this is the one we want because it says we painted in red, and it says red up here. Okay, so let's go over here. Export as. Do I want to do this to desktop? I think desktop's fine. And then I'm gonna save it as the layer. What was the layer name? It's map.de, isn't it? So what I can do is I can just go here, click rename, and then just copy that, and then click off of it. It's a little trick of the trade here. Okay, I'm gonna export that. These are my export settings. I don't know if these make any difference. They probably do, and I just haven't explored it enough. Okay, so that's we saved it as a PNG image. Where did it save to? It's gonna be in here. Oh, lordy. This is. I apologize for the messy desktop. That's been hard at work doing stuff. Did it save to the? Wait, where did? Date modified should be in here. That's the PDA. Where is it? Okay. I'm gonna save it to a file. Let's just go find where the map is located. Just do this the easy way. It should be in, is it the D drive? Oh lord. This is documents, there we go. My games. Farming Simulator. I think I put this in the mods folder for now. Mods. This is all so disorganized right now. Tutorial map, very disorganized. Maps, map.de. Rename this. Okay, save. Oh, I need to export as. Dang it. I'm so stupid. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is a mess. I apologize. I'm just trying to save it to that folder. All right, so just bear with me here. I forgot that I moved this into my mods folder, and it's a lot more file paths to deal with when you put it in there. All right, there we go. Okay, there we go. Dear Lord, that was way more difficult than it actually is. Okay, so we got it as a PNG right here. Cool, it's the same name. We can delete the old info layer. That's fine. Old GRLE. We're gonna open this and make sure the farmland is pointing to a PNG rather than a GRLE. So we're gonna type in farmland. It's most likely gonna be the first one. There it is. Change that to PNG. Get out of my face. File, save. Get out of my face. Okay. Now we open Giants Editor. I'm gonna open 8.0, which is on my, or 8.2.2. You wait a little bit. Okay. If you got an optimized map, it shouldn't take too long. Please. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna click on the info layer here. Go down here to farmland, and boom. There we have it. Those, so you remember this is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 that we painted. The rest are 1, which we have highlighted right now. Let's do Control R on 2. That's 2. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Why is this different? Do these? Oh no, it just looks different. These colors, these two colors look different, but they're the same. Okay, so that's how you do it. And so you would basically do what it would look more like this. You don't want all of this owned by one property, right? Okay, so then you're going to go into the Farmlands XML, and you're just going to edit this for how many, how many farmlands you have, right? So like we have, you need, if you did 45 farmlands, 1 through 45, and you have all the numbers in here, then you're just going to have, it's going to look like this. Right. But if you accidentally skipped while you were in GIMP, you skipped a farmland and like, let's say like an error pops up in the log that says you didn't paint, or they can't find 18 painted on the map, then you would just delete this line to get rid of that error. But it's a little sloppy, then it's going, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 21, 22, it's skipping. So, you want to maintain accuracy. So go slow. But that's pretty much it. That's all you really need to do, and you can adjust the price scales accordingly to whatever, research you do on the area. But yeah, that's it. Super easy. And if you screw up, you can always just, paint over all of this over again, and make sure that you are painting everything. I think we were a little quick. There might've been some pixels that were painted in here. When you scale the image, let's say you're doing a 4x, or you're doing or you want to scale this down, make sure, we've done this previously, but make sure if you're scaling down or scaling up, make sure the first thing you do when you open this image right here is you're posturizing. You're going to do color, posterize, and you're posterize it down to 2 colors. Okay. And then you're going to do your value invert. And if you remember what we discussed earlier, if you don't do that and you're scaling your image, some of these pixels along the edge of the fields, they get like they'll be different colors. And the same thing goes for field dimensions or any other info layer. When you scale a layer down, the program in GIMP is going to try to compensate for those. It's going to compensate for the pixels in between. When you're stretching, like let's say you're stretching in between these two, in between the field color and normal color, background color, right? It's going to try to compensate the pixels in between that, and it's just going to color in something different. And so when you change the color, to default property 1, that's fine. But then there's going to be like these weird, it's just like a rainbow of different colors, pixelated colors along the edges of these fields, and it just gets to be a mess. So make sure you do that posterizing beforehand if you are going to use a different size. This works for me. I like the pixel size. I love that it's not as jagged as a 1024 by 1024, but again, it does cause a little bit of lag when you're in game. Okay, that should cover farmlands. Make sure you have the file path in your map DE. Make sure it's pointing to farmlands. Let's see here. I probably need to type it in, farmland. Yep, down here at the bottom is where it's located. So make sure it should be, the tutorial map I provide should be pointing to that, but make sure it's pointing to that, and make sure this got the correct name here, and make sure the actual file is correct, and then make sure, this GRLD name is correct as well. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to field dimensions after this, and we'll have completed the circuit. All right. Thank you so much. And I hope you found this helpful, and on to the next lesson.